Hello, welcome back to MagPiece podcast. I'm joined with Liam and guest tonight, Daniel Wales. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
First of all, I think congratulations are on order, yeah?
Yes, they certainly are. Thank you. Graduate first class from the University of
Newcastle.
There you go. What did you study?
I did journalism, media and culture.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, very well done from us at MagPiece.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
It's been a bit of a weird sort of year for Gateshead. I think we'll start off with Gateshead because that's you sort of covering on the Gateshead promotion. The won the title this year. Iron Mike Williamson is there. Rob Elliott is there now. I didn't even realise he was there.
He does bits. He's not in massively, but he's there.
It was sort of like a goalkeeping coaching thing. I'd noticed. I think I searched it after I saw him on one of the YouTube videos. But there's a nice little buzz going around Gateshead, isn't there, at the minute?
Yeah, Gateshead's it's a club that 3 years ago nearly went out of business completely.
Yeah.
Financial irregularities with previous ownership. And that would have been a great shame. Gateshead, they've got a great little fan base, great community club, lots of really loyal supporters. And as I say, they nearly went out of business. Were demoted from the National League, where they've gone back to now to the National League North, and really found their way again under Mike Williamson and Ian Watson. Obviously, he's been the assistant manager, and obviously last season covering them was remarkable. It was such a roller coaster ride. They were fantastic to watch. Iron Mike he had them playing some fantastic football, some great players on that side. A lot of ex-Newcastle, to be fair.
Yeah.
A lot of ex-Newcastle Academy, or even first team, if you mentioned Adam Campbell. With a couple of little scares along the way with some perhaps shock defeats, but apart from that, they were phenomenal all season, and massive credit to all involved with the club, not just the playing staff or those behind the scenes, but all the supporters, all those who work day in day out at the club, because they do a fantastic job, and all credit to them.
I remember when the sort of news was announced that they did have them financial problems and they were going to get demoted. They had quite a good season. I remember. I think they finished maybe eighth or ninth
table. Yeah.
So just think, if these problems didn't occur, they could have been, maybe it's a big reach, but they could have been in League Two.
Well, they nearly were back in 2014. Of course, they got to the playoff final against Cambridge. I was there at Wembley. Ryan Donaldson, though, ex-Newcastle, scored a free kick, which sank their hearts. I mean, they nearly got an equaliser in the last couple of minutes, but it wasn't to be. And I think after that, that was a really good season for them. But after that, never really hit the heights. They had a few sort of mid-table finishes in the years following. But then, of course, the financial problems happened and the demotion, and the club nearly disappeared off the map, which, as I say, would have been a real shame. But the supporters bought it. The Gateshead Soul, and a man called Neil Pinkerton as well, the chairman, and Bernard McWilliams, who's head of the Soul and the vice chairman, and really got the club back on its feet. That financially are a lot more stable now, and of course on the pitch doing wonders.
I've got to ask, of all the teams in the North East, why Gateshead?
It's where I'm from. I'm from Gateshead. I also have a few relatives who support them. I don't know if they'll be watching, but you know who you are. And it was because I was doing a university project in second year, where we had to make a website for a news topic of our choice. And obviously football being my key interest in journalism, I thought, well, what can I do to try and make myself stand out a little bit? And I thought, well, if I want to cover a club, Newcastle's going to be far too hard to get into. Of course, we're in the middle of lockdown at this point. Restrictions were coming in and out all the time. So I thought Gateshead, being a lot more local and non-league, will be a lot easier to get into. And so I got in touch with them, and they said yes, come along to games. Of course, so I started going to games in lockdown at first, which was a real privilege to go and watch football in those times. But of course, then the season last season was null and voided, so that came to an end. So after that, it was sort of just about preparing again for the new season when that started, when the crowds came back in, and they just hit the ground running straight away. You could tell the way they were playing that they had something about them. I mean, they were by no means favourites to win that league or go up at all. I think there's been a recent documentary made by the club's official YouTube channel. They were 20-1 to get promoted.
Really?
So the bookies really didn't have them at sort of any sort of favourites at all. And then they went and did it. I think it was the first game of the season against Leamington away. It was cancelled due to COVID. Leamington had a few COVID cases in their squad. And then I think it was that first game of the season at home against Kettering. And if memory serves, it was a 3-1 win. And you could just tell on that day that they had something about them.
Yeah.
Now, I've been watching Gateshead games before on many occasions, and obviously in that promotion, when they got promoted in 2014, you know, they were good then, of course, in the league above. And then on other occasions that I've been to see them, you know, not so good. But this season, well, it's actually season just gone. They started off that game, and I thought, yeah, they've got something about them. They'll be in amongst it, even if they don't, you know, go for the title. But they just kept on going. They kept on winning games. They had a real core group of lads who. They were all friends. I think that's what makes, like, I've got to know them all the players, and they're such a sound bunch. Not one of them is a bad egg in that group. I mean, it is a shame that now they've lost their two strikers in Macaulay Langstaff and Kevin Scott, Notts County poaching both of them. You know, a team in the same league as well, which is a bit of a shame. And they were two great lads, and I'm sure Notts County will do well this season. I think they'll be pushing, and well, I'm really looking forward, to be fair, to the Tuesday, the 13th of August, because that's when Notts County are away at Gateshead.
Oh, really? So it could,
it's
could
quite
be a bit
close.
feisty.
Yeah.
That's the thing now, because in the National League North, you had, was it Blythe? You had
South
Shield and Spennymoor.
South Shields are the league below.
Oh, there. My mistake.
You got Darlington in there though as well.
Yeah.
You got Blythe, you got Spenny. So you got a few northeast clubs in that league, and you know, rivalries can be quite intense at times. To be fair, they did play the South Shields in a pre-season game last season, and that was quite intense as well. And you think, you know, for considering that a lot of these people who are going to these games will probably all also support Newcastle or have Newcastle affiliation. There was some it was quite feisty, to be fair, considering that they were all, as I say, they're all possibly Newcastle supporters as well. I mean, that's a massive general assumption. It might not be, of course, but
yeah.
Considering they're all from the northeast, I was quite taken aback by that. I thought,
Yeah.
this is interesting. It's that rivalries go that low down.
I think that's the thing with Gateshead. Even though I've not been to one of their games since 2015, and I wasn't even supporting them that day, you still sort of just follow them all the time, just saying, oh, how's Gateshead doing? How's Gateshead doing? You always just keep an eye on them. So it is such a nice thing that I have been promoted. Who do you reckon this season will sort of be the team to look out for when they come to the international
As I
stage?
say, Notts County, I think, haven't approached them too. The Wrexham as well. They didn't go up last season. I think obviously with that Hollywood money that they've got.
Fancy meeting Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, you know what? If he's in the Gates, I'm going to get an interview.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Honestly. I think he'll be right up for it as well. I think he seems to be wanting to get.
He seems like a good lad.
Yeah.
Just up for anything.
But yeah, I think Notts County, as I say, I mean, I know that Kenwood and Macaulay, to be fair to them, they were doing it in the league below last season, and it is a step up for all of them. But if they can even get, you know, half replicate what they did last season, with the amount of goals those two scored, the Notts County will be onto a winner.
I mean, I feel like a total fraud. I mean, I was born in Gateshead and I've still not
Yeah,
been. I've still
don't
not
tell us
been
that,
to
then.
a game. Yeah, I've still never been. But I mean, the closest I've been to a game there is when I played in me like under 11s team, playing on the turf that's next to it. But I want to go, but I don't want to also feel like these fans that have came across for Newcastle because the money's came in,
But
so
see,
they're doing well. Like
I think you get welcomed.
You
Definitely.
do. They're very welcoming families. I think they sort of know that they get a lot of Newcastle Sun supporters who perhaps are on an away day coming to get a game on the other week.
Yeah.
So I think you'd be very much welcome. I mean,
get yourself along.
I mean, as I say, I have a Newcastle season ticket, and I only started going to games like Gateshead religiously last season when I was covering them, and you know they took me in no problem at all. So I think, you know, even if it's like every now and then, get yourself to the gigs. I'm sure you'll
Bring
enjoy
your passport. It's got Gateshead.
Just
on
to
it,
make sure.
like
Well, I think the one game I went to at the National Stadium was when Newcastle played them. 15-16, we were chatting about it beforehand. Patrick Cisse scored a penalty. I think it was Haidara went down in the box, and then Cisse scored this penalty. That's the only game that I've been to. But I've got to ask, do you remember this at half time when two Newcastle fans ran onto the running track and did a lap of the running track? And
I remember that. I do.
it's probably the same bloke that's doing the laps and the lasers with the
That would not surprise me.
It was. We went to the Wolves game together, and that's the first game I've been to post takeover, or like since New Year's Day 2020. That day we got beat 3-0 against Leicester. The atmosphere was awful, shallow, awful performance. The contrast to that game, to the Wolves game, was crazy.
Yeah.
You said you're a season ticket holder, so you'll have seen it really firsthand. What's it been like in the crowds?
Phenomenal, in a word. I mean, if you want a sort of an essence of what it was like, you just look at that Arsenal game and that final home game of the season.
Yeah.
That was the best atmosphere I think I've experienced at a football game, to be honest.
Ever.
It's just unbelievable.
It was like phenomenal.
I mean, I was lucky to get like a couple of games last season pre takeover and after that. And I mean,
some of them died, to be fair.
Just, I mean, I was up with my girlfriend's from Scotland. I was up at her house when we played Leicester, and when Willock breaks, Bruno scores. A granny was sitting outside. I'm forgetting where I am, jumping up and I'm going, again! Honestly, a granny just went like this.
I just missed that goal as well. You know?
Did you?
Nearly missed that goal.
I hope you're not one of them people that leave early.
Well, no, you see, the thing is, I don't, and I never do. But since I've been filming Emil's fan cams for him, I'd leave sort of a couple of minutes early, but then I'd walk along like the sort of the concourse and come up if I hear anything. So I'm sort of still there, and I can always go, or I walk along inside the actual stadium bit itself. So I'm sort of still watching the match. Because a lot of some of the students don't like you stand up on the stairs, which sometimes I try to. And that was only just so I could get down to meet Emil on time.
Yeah.
But on this day I thought, well, you know what, it's playing out on sort of a 1-1 draw, and I thought I'll start walking on the concourse. And so I was going on the East Stand concourse because I'm more towards the Leazes end.
Yeah.
And I was walking towards the Gallagher so I could go down and be sort of that way on. And I hear a bit of rumbling, and I'm like, oh, you know what, I better go outside and just see it. So I got sort of in line with the 18-yard box of the Gallagher and gone up an access there.
Oh, so you
and
Willock
Willock was just about to approach the box, and I get up the top of the stairs and he's just entering the box, and then the goal goes in and I lose it.
It was unbelievable. Like the build up of the noise from when Matt Targett wins it down in that left hand corner and knocks it to Willock, and I was just like, he's gonna blow for full time, and then it goes. And I don't think it's talked about enough the way Joe Linton absolutely this kid's on his back. Joe Linton still somehow manages to manhandle him off him, and then just
because I remember watching it on the telly and seeing Joe Linton going down and going and then obviously Willock, because he's turned and he's gotten past Tillman so well on such a tight angle
as if he wasn't there.
Such a tight angle towards the line as well, manages to get past him, and then just a nice drive and run, gets into the box, and then the rest was history with that Bruno diving header. Unreal. Probably one of the best things that I've seen in terms of watching Newcastle on the telly. But I need to get to a game again. Definitely post takeover.
It's just so you want more. What were we like after? Because obviously we don't get to go to many games. But after that Wolves game, we didn't want to leave. We were just stood there.
We just started waving the flags about, and we started taking pictures and everything.
Must have been there was not many people left in the ground by the time we left. We were just sat looking at it. It's just fully back in love with this football team again. I mean, we all know how hard it's
such a good
been kind of thing. It's just but seeing how the players have been away in Austria this week.
There's such a good vibe about the place now. You just look at the photos and they all just look so happy. I mean, obviously they've recreated that famous shoulder pick.
Unbelievable.
Iconic.
Grant's game on Twitter has been absolutely sublime since the two of us went through.
You've really got to give Grant and the rest of the team.
I feel like they've been unleashed, the media team, a little bit in terms of the content they can now produce.
But they've been suppressed, haven't they? Everything media wise has been
new graphics as well. That's friendly today, new graphics. But you've really got to give them a shout out. I think Grant, the rest of them as well, for doing just such a good job. Serena as well, the photographer.
Yeah, just a fantastic job.
Cracking. That go-karting video
was great.
That the posted on was just unreal. Just getting the insider look, it's so fascinating. Even when they're just having a bit of a laugh doing go-karts, Joe Linton telling everyone to shut up. It's absolutely true.
You as well. Has it been unveiled who Amazon are going to be doing the documentary on next season yet or not?
Not yet.
I think surely it's got to be good odds it's us, unless we want to do our own sort of thing.
I don't know really, because there's lots of stories in the Premier League this season. Man United with Ten Hag, there's Man City with the likes of Haaland, Liverpool maybe,
Well, they've done
Chelsea
City.
after everything. They've done City, they've done Spurs, they've done Arsenal. I think they'll go for the big six first,
Newcastle.
and then they'll soon, and then they'll move on to like, you know, once again quote the other 14 in the Premier League. But it just depends on what the rights are and you know what the crack is with things happening internally. But you know, you mentioned before you're the person that does the fan cams for True Faith and for Emil. Emil as well, if you're watching. Hello, big fan.
Emil. How's Radio 1?
How is Radio 1? We're all very happy for you. But you must have seen some stuff doing that fan cam. I'll assume some stuff that didn't make the cut as well.
It is wild.
You know what, to be fair, most of it does go in.
Does it?
Most of it does go in, to be fair. Yeah, they're just hilarious. I mean, you get some real characters that come on that. I mean, oh my god.
Sorry, the lad that he gets where he's like, he hasn't got a girlfriend yet, and Emil's like trying to set him up, sort of thing. And I was on Twitter the other day and follow I Love Pie Face, and then I see it's this kid, but he's got a Dan Burns shirt for like our whole players, and he's got it so like Burns names, like he's got the shirt back the front. So tag the Emil in, and Emil like put the video in, but it's just like the content that comes out of that. It's unreal. Like some of it reminds us of you know, the lad down south where he's getting interviewed and he's going he's getting interviewed about England. He's going, "Come on, England!" He's like putting the mic in.
Oh yeah.
You could recreate that right now.
I could if I wanted to, but I won't.
The audio listeners.
How long have you been doing that for then?
It was just this season. It was at the start of the season. I mean, I'd been doing bits of True Faith, and then I'd got to know Emil, and he just asked me, saying, "Dan, do you fancy sort of being my cameraman for this season?"
Yeah.
Because I need one. Because he'd done them previously for Gallagher Shots, but then he's done them for True Faith this season, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And it just became the most fun, hilarious thing after the game. Good laugh.
Because you get like a nice little crowd around.
Oh, you always do. To be fair, I mean, the one that I'll never forget was the two we did on the takeover day.
Oh.
Because I texted Emil on the morning, and when it was sort of rumored that it was going to happen this day, and I said to him, "Look, mate, something's going to happen today.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, I know we normally do it only after a match, but I think we should honestly get there and do a fan cams." And he said, "Yeah, it sounds like a good plan." So we went sort of. Well, actually, I'll tell you the story. I was sat in a lecture at uni.
No way.
Straight out.
And I said, well, it was sort of a workshop, so it was a bit more informal. It wasn't fully lecture, but I went up to the man taking it, and it was a 2-hour workshop, and I was like, I don't want to sound bad here, but I need to get to St James's Park right now. To go and film some fan reactions to Newcastle's potential takeover, and you know, and he was the most he was like, "Get yourself there."
Yeah, he's going. "Can you get an Uber? I'll come here."
Poor Liam was stuck in Manchester. I mean, I was
honestly, I was
out the door.
I was so close to getting the train.
I kind of heading to the ground. I kind of described the feeling. I mean, I was late for when the news first got announced, but got there and Adam Peace there with his big creator cans, and
I saw him that day. Yeah, it was just a fantastic day. As I say, I went and I ran from my lecture all the way across campus, all the way to the stadium, and texted me. I said, "Oh, where are you?" He said, I'm doing an interview with Sky Sports." I said, "Of course you are." So I ran up to the Leeds car park where like Keith Downey often broadcasts from. I meet Emil there, and then Sky Sports find out they haven't actually got their camera yet. And so I'm like, "Well, maybe should we just go and do like a fan cameras right now?" And he said, "Yeah, you know, we'll come back and do this when the camera's there." Went down, did one, and damn, there was one lad, and he was like saying, "Oh, how much sleep did you get last night?" And I was like, "Oh, I got like a couple of hours." And it was just, he was just like, "How?" Emil was like, "How much?" And he was just like, "About that much."
I've seen that actually. I tried to tell straight away. It was, but it was just like, it's surreal. Like, you'd have thought would won like the Champions League or something. God forbid
That's-
what the town's going to be like when we win something.
Oh,
Christ.
That without a doubt, I do kick myself for not being there that day.
yeah.
Just because.
Like it was just, and then it got to a point, and then I heard like a, and I'm like, what's that? Like that's a weird noise. And she turned around, and then
It's a man there.
I was like, that's Johnny Blue Hat. And I was like, I'm shot at it. And he starts playing the local hero on the saxophone, and I was just like, have I died? Like, have I actually died? I'm just stood there like,
is this heaven?
I was like, well, it felt like it. Like, honestly, it was just.
I walked past Sam Fender that night.
I spoke to him, man.
I
can't remember a word I said to him. I spoke to him for about 10 minutes outside the Strawberry. And you saw what he was saying the next morning. He'd obviously went straight. God knows what time he'd been out of town, but he'd gone straight to Salford from being out from the table thing. That interview on the morning is amazing.
Really hungover.
Because that was his album launch party.
It was,
if there's something going under.
It was.
It just.
I want to know what I said and what he was saying to me. Like it just.
Imagine we came across just like really Sam. I hate you. I hate you.
I love the bits. Like that's what like.
That's what we were.
I
just love you.
That probably was for about 10 minutes. I mean, I've got a photo which like keep all of that, but like, oh God, what a night! Like I kind of honestly when we went to it, like
that night, it just felt like everything was obviously with the takeover coming through.
I think we hadn't even won a game at that point that season.
Well, that was after we did a podcast for the old one we used to do after the Wolves game. I was convinced that was it. We're going down, get ready for championship again, lads. Here we'll go.
Never been so excited.
Like, I mean, the Tottenham game, we took the lead in that game, didn't we?
A minute in.
Yeah.
Colin Wilson.
When we need to stop doing that because we score early and then don't win games.
Yeah.
Like England in major tournaments.
Oh God, you had to say that, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's just what a time to be a man. Yeah. I keep saying
just,
it. Like,
it just felt like everything fell into place that night because the takeover went through. Sam Fender was there, and the flags come back. It just felt like some massive symbolic thing
when they came around the corner, and I was stood next to Andrew Musgrove in the Chronicle at that point, and I don't even know how to describe it, to be honest. It wasn't like tears or anything, but it was just that lump in your throat. And just like,
Did you see many tears that night?
I don't know if I saw any tears, but I saw some drunken messes. I'll tell you that for nothing.
You saw loads of people where they were just like, I mean, I think I was like, but where they were just like locked and kind of just like taking it all in.
I think a lot of people just didn't know what to say. I think it was just sort of like, this is so good. I think you can't really describe it or sort of what you're feeling right now. And that's certainly how I felt. As to say, like, me and Emil did those first fan cams, and then he had to go off to work after half. Yes. And then, so I was then stood around with Andrew Musgrove for like a lot of the afternoon, and then I went off on a snack run because we were still out there.
It would like
that Tesco's.
Like even the bands that were there and all, they've not known anything different other than actually football. I mean, I've counted myself lucky that I grew up getting to watch this bloke play some football. I mean, I think I went to my first game when I was 3 in 2000. I think it was against Coventry, and I've seen UEFA Cup football showing.
I've seen none of that. My first game was Derby at home. You know, the season that they scored 12 points. Four of them
wasn't that a 0-0 draw?
It was a 2-2 draw.
Was it?
And Mark Viduka scored in like the 94th minute. We've got to ask as well, because this is something that we ask people when they come on to the podcast. What's your first Newcastle game that you went to?
I think it was a pre-season friendly, and I think it was either 2006 or 2007 against Juventus. And I think Andy Carroll scored.
Get in.
I think he won 2-0. And I remember this because there's a lad who lives up my street who he has Italian family and they all support Juventus. And I just remember, I mean, I was only about 6 or 7, but I went and rubbed it in his face straight away afterwards.
Yeah, I would as well. Definitely. Keaton, you
can do that. But I think the thing that I remember most from my first game, I was about to say my debut there, like I was running on the pitch, and I've looked, it's either Shola scored his first Premier League goal or it was his Premier League debut, and I feel like that's just where my connection with Shola's just grown from there.
Do you also ride a bike with an apple?
After try to, it's
He just stands still like that.
Well, it's just the epitome of cool.
Oh yeah.
Riding a bike with an apple.
Riding a bike. I mean,
Unreal.
if you're Brazilian, you look great. Not too sure what Miggy was trying to do, but he looked like he was struggling.
Miggy's just always there.
He's
just
always
smiling.
He loves it.
It's just so funny though. I can picture like Grant going, Miggy, Bruno, Joe, right,
On your bikes.
on your bike, Apple. We're taking some
We
pictures.
need some content.
Yeah, but it is. It's just iconic, and they have really taken it up a notch. The social
They really
media. Something that happened today. We're filming this today when the friendly was against
Yes.
1860 München. Did you watch the game?
Ooh, that was cool.
German GCSE. Great D.
There was also well
Great
done.
D. Great D. German GCSE. 1860 Munich for those English people. 3-0 win.
Yeah.
I think comfortable second half, definitely. Did
Joe
you
did nearly
just
kill a
watch?
man.
Yeah, Joe did nearly kill someone. Did you just watch the coverage?
Yeah.
You know what I didn't today? I was a bit busy,
Well-
but I kept tabs on it. I was watching the updates on Twitter and just trying to see what was going on.
Certainly some interesting commentary. Definitely a lot of research.
I learned a lot about players that I never knew, like what the man does for a living,
Yeah.
Like their
medical records, and just
Yeah.
the commentary. He didn't leave much to the imagination with the players. Maybe not what was actually going on the pitch, but you learned a lot about what was going on in the players.
I'll take
Players'
that off
lives.
to, I can't remember his name, something Williamson, I think, or something Williams. I'll take my hat off to him just because he definitely did a lot of research. But anyway, 3-0 win, goals from Willock, Bruno, and Longstaff.
Longstaff, yes.
Cracking goal by Longstaff, by the way.
Brilliant finish, brilliant.
I think the main talking point is some of the new signings, Nick Pope being one of them,
Yeah.
got about 60 minutes, Botman got 45 minutes.
Bottom.
Botsman, yeah. Kieran Trippier, number 2 this season, possibly. That's the number that I gave him for the game.
I didn't notice that.
So,
I did see that and it said that squad number is subject to change, but
Subject to change, yeah.
Nick Pope was 22 when
He was 22.
but I have the feeling that now that Clark's been
Yeah.
shut, I feel like Trippier would be kept as number 2, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Do you think if we bring a new forward in, they get the number 11? Because I think number 11 is quite a big forward number. I
Obviously,
mean,
Matt Ritchie still has that.
he is, but is he staying? Is he going? This is.
Eddie Howe seems to like Matt Ritchie.
Yeah.
I feel like he's.
Yeah.
I think he's from what I've heard from training ground stories and stuff. He's a very good pro to have around the team. That's
what
what.
he is, to be fair.
But it's.
I've always thought of Matt Ritchie as a bit like a Jack Russell Terrier on the pitch.
Yeah.
Never
Just
stops,
keeps
never
going.
shuts up and runs around for ages and ages.
Yeah.
God, if you score, you want to be nowhere near him. You
You'd
want to
be,
always
well,
nowhere near. 'Cause
Well,
otherwise you
whether
get
you're on the
the
pitch or in the crowd, of course.
Oh God.
I think he'd be a cracking coach, you know. I think
Yeah,
if he called it a day now, I'd keep him on as a coach.
I think Eddie Howe will have that in the back of his mind that you probably once. Rich, I would be surprised if Richie isn't doing coaching courses already.
Yeah.
He's at that age where you're probably at the backstage of your career. It's when they start looking at those
Yeah.
those kinds of options, and I think Richie would naturally fit into a coaching role. And I think I could probably see him as a manager somewhere down the line as well.
How old is Richie? About 32, 33?
Maybe.
Rings about that. I think so. Yeah.
Early
around
30s.
then, yeah.
Be about that.
I think with Eddie Howe being the head coach as well, he obviously started off quite young, so I think he'll have that sort of mentality in his mind. My gaffer's done this quite young. I'm still quite young. I could do this.
Yeah.
But we'll move back onto the game. Like we said, three fairly decent goals. The third goal was quite just like a nice bit of pressure play, and it was about 3-on-1 before the ball got past Bruno. But I think first half was a bit sloppy. It was definitely, a typical pre-season first half. And then as the game sort of progressed, you could tell that even the first 11 got into the game a little bit more. I think Jamal Lascelles was in that first half very ropey, and I think that's maybe why Botman came on a little bit earlier. And then when that
He
second,
got booked, didn't he, as well?
he did get booked, yeah. Joe Linton got booked as well for a bit of a rash tackle. Would have been a red card in the Premier League, I think, after a VAR review. But when that second 11 come on, it just really changed the game and lit the game.
I think though for the first 11 in the first half, I think you've got to give props to Shelby. That it's the fittest I've seen him come back for a season. He looked well up for it. But I mean, second half completely changed the game. Total new side out there. Joe Linton and Bruno. I think he just needs to work out who's going to play in that kind of middle three. We'll play with them too, because those two have gelled so naturally straight away. And it's just that you've got Joe Linton as this kind of powerhouse. You've got Bruno, who was just meant to be this defensive midfielder, but is one of the best playmakers.
So elegant. He just wants the ball constantly. Even if he's got a man on him, doesn't care. He wants that ball.
It's so effortless as well. Like you can tell when a footballer's that good, when it's just so natural and everything he does is just so like second nature to him. It's just, I love watching him play. And I mean, I was watching the Brazil friendlies, man. I'm waiting for him to come. I'm like this watching the Brazil games, waiting for him to come off the bench just to watch him. He's just he makes you like enjoy football watching him.
I think it'll be a matter of time as well before Joe Linton gets his international call up.
He's got to.
The performances in midfield have just been unreal.
Well, Alan gets calls up and he's not very good.
Not a PG word.
We are trying to get well, I did a couple of little expletives in with Adam Payne the last one where we apologise for them, but we're trying to be no, I think Joe Linton for me, I mean, I'm not a die-hard Brazil fan. I do like watching them play, but as biased as I could probably be, I do think he deserves an international call-up, especially for the change around in career that he's had.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time, I think.
If Richarlison can get a call-up,
It's a very good point.
I think, just going back to the point on Shelby, you can definitely tell that he knows that Newcastle are looking for another centre midfielder. You can definitely tell. That's why he's come back so much fitter, so much sharper.
He wants that place in that third position, that midfield.
Oh, definitely. Because he could play as a really good holding midfielder, because we know he doesn't really like to run that much.
And then where do you fit Sean Longstaff and Joe Willock in?
That's the thing.
This is the thing coming into this season. I think these two lads have needed a proper pre-season coming in. I mean, Sean's a good footballer, and you saw that with Rafa, someone that's got them training more than twice a week.
He had that injury, and then Bruce came in, and he really was quite poor for a while. I was a big critic of him for a while. I'll not lie, but then towards the end of that season, when Shelby was injured, and he came in alongside Joe Linton and Bruno, and he did quite well.
Well, that chip against
Arsenal. That one against Arsenal, the turn where he sent, was it Gabriel? He just sent the Arsenal defender absolutely packing. But again, if that was Bruno, we'd all still be banging on about it. I think it was like brilliant from Longstaff, and honestly, I hope this season, having a proper pre-season in, getting some proper training in, he comes in and he's like that player that first came in under Rafa. I mean, was it Burnley he scored against? Was that his first one under?
Yeah. It was the same day that Shaw scored that.
Shaw scored an absolute
rocket. I like him. I think he is likeable, and I think it's just been a shame that under the previous regime, both managerial and upper height. And I mean, when you're a young lad, I know the whole Man United for 50 million thing came in, and I think there was quite a bit of pressure put on with him, because he was made to compete kind of. With Declan Rice as well.
Declan Rice
at the scene at that same sort of time.
Yeah.
Obviously, Declan Rice hit the heights that hit.
Two totally different players as well.
Oh, aye, yeah.
But Sean's always had that natural finishing ability. I mean, he used to score some screamers for the under 23s, and I mean, he's been used to playing as a 10, I think, for the under 23s as well. He's been more of an attacking midfielder, whereas he's had to pick up more responsibilities from Bruce. And I mean, Bruce had him playing pretty everywhere.
Yeah. Well, he had everyone playing everywhere. I remember Isaac Hayden was a right winger at one point in one of the games towards the end. Yeah, it's horrible times that I don't like thinking about it.
I've seen Sean Longstaff in the National Stadium a couple of times as well.
Have you?
Watching sometimes.
He's a good lad, Sean.
But it's because a lot of obviously his mates are all like
Owen Bailey.
Owen Bailey's a lovely lad. He's great.
He's a good lad, Sean. He's definitely got his head screwed on. He knows his roots as well.
Yeah.
Whenever I've been to the training ground, which I'll be honest isn't very often, but I went a week or so ago without him. He's the guy that stops every single time. Doesn't matter what the weather is, what situation you're in. He's always going to stop, just because he knows that he's a fan as well, and he does the exact same thing.
I'll tell you who certainly will have got Eddie Howe thinking after the day as well. Elliot Anderson. He was wanting the ball all the time, and he's up for it. Like, and I don't think we need to loan him out this season.
Was he playing as a midfielder or was it a winger?
I think he was kind of nearly 10, like kind of in that.
It felt like he was just roaming about quite a lot.
So in a free role, sort of.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what he was doing at Bristol. I think Eddie's probably just said, look, go out, play football, no pressure, and that's what a player at that stage of the career needs is just go out, play in a non-pressure game like that. Yes, we are expected to win it, but he's came on and he's flourished today. Like, and for me, he's not a player I think that we need to think about loaning out.
No.
He doesn't, because he's 19, I want to say
19 still very young.
He doesn't count towards the 25-man squad, so he can be there. I don't think we do need to loan him out. And look, with the competitions he play, hopefully we'll go on a bit of a cup run this year after the absolute disaster we had last year.
I think.
Hopefully we can get him implemented into the squad and being around it, because he deserves it after his successful loan spell away last season.
Definitely, I think he's one of them players to watch. But I think the thing is now we don't have too much of a headache in terms of the squad. I feel like we've got a lot of quality in most of the positions. I'd say the only one that we need to look out for is just that number 9 spot, and then the right winger as well.
Yeah. Well, as always, isn't it? It's the risk with Callum Wilson, but I think Callum Wilson in the squad and in the supply he'll be getting this season, if he stays fit, I think he can definitely beat his record of what he's scored in a Premier League season. It is a big if keeping fit, and I think that the worry is that we do need a backup striker. I mean, I keep forgetting Chris Wood's there. Chris Wood is a striker that could quite regularly score double digits.
I don't think he was given the supply in the box that he sort of needed at the end of last season when he was in. I don't think he...
Well, the thing is with Chris Wood is at Burnley he usually played with 2 up front.
Long ball.
And he was stuck up there by himself a lot last season. I did at times feel sorry for him.
But he did quite a bit that was going unnoticed. I thought he was getting quite a bit of
He set up that goal against Brighton when Ryan Fraser scored, when he turned that defender and played a lovely ball through to Jacob Murphy, who Jacob Murphy's style didn't finish it.
He must be the unluckiest footballer I've seen. Mind, I want him, because he's like a Geordie and supports the club. I want him to do well, and I quite like him. I think he's got a great attitude. He's been in and around the squad for a couple of years now. And
if it weren't for him missing easy shots, so we wouldn't have had.
Just put it in the net, man.
John Anderson, just put it in the net. Just put the ball in the net.
But
I spoke to Matthew Rose, on text not long after that happened, and I was like, "Has he calmed down yet?" Luckily, he had.
He's a good lad, Razor. Obviously, because I want to get into a career in commentary, he had a phone call with us during COVID.
Razor's a great lad, yeah.
And just.
So is Andrew, to be fair. I mean, I've done the Total Sport Fans Forum in the studio a few times, and I've sat next to Andrew, and you know what, he is good fun.
Yeah,
he's a lovely
just
bloke.
a proper laugh. Just put that ball in the net. But you can just tell, it radiates off them how passionate they are.
That's the thing, as much as they're obviously commentating for the BBC, which is, it's an impartial organisation, but you can tell the passion that is there.
It's when Newcastle score, it's gone in! It's gone in!
It's brilliant.
It is absolutely brilliant. And long live Matthew Racebeck and John Anderson, definitely.
Great
two cracking commentators.
Oh, massively so.
Big inspirations. Nick Barnes as well, who's a
Barnes
commentator for the other team, man.
Barnes did commentate on Newcastle for a while as well, back in the early 2000s.
Have you seen his notebooks?
Oh, phenomenal! It's a work of art.
It is genuine artwork. I'll show you a picture after the podcast, but
it is phenomenal.
Yeah, two sheets of paper, one sheet Sunderland, draws a Sunderland logo. Next sheet, last season would have been Shrewsbury, draws a Shrewsbury logo. And it's just so neat and so precise and so beautiful.
It's every sort of like football geek's dream, essentially.
Yeah. I love them ones Clive Tisley does.
I've got one of them.
It's on another level to that. Because he draws the kits and the badges as well in full colour.
It's honestly, I'll show you one after the podcast. Nick Barnes is commentary notes, beautiful thing of beauty, but it's such a weird thing during commentary notes. For me, I've got awful handwriting, so I could only dream of doing what Nick Barnes or or Tilsey does. So I just sort of type things out really. But it's such a weird thing saying like how different everyone does it, and it's just because like it suits them.
Yeah.
Like pre-match and stuff, I'll type out paragraphs and paragraphs on teams. Like when I did like a Hartlepool game, that was like quite an easy one to do, just because they, you know, they're like switching the play up, the players that they have, they always play consistently. Jamie Sterry, I think, played about 45 times that season. Didn't play that game though, typically. But it is just really weird how it all works. So no, I'll show you Nick Barnes's after this podcast.
Please do. Transfers then, eh?
Transfers.
Not been too much about this week. We're linked with Isaac, and then 2 days later
we weren't linked with Isaac.
Yeah, I think Sociedad have kind of put their foot down on fee-wise, and I mean, his stats I looked the other day that haven't been.
He had a very good season the season before last, and then last season was
very impressive. No.
I think I saw that was down to tactical changes last season.
I've read some things saying that he became a better footballer last season, but didn't quite perhaps get the goals and the assists that he expected to.
I was always seeing
still good.
I was always seeing like little clips of him doing really good skill runs and things like that, but he wouldn't finish.
And that's what we need to put the ball back in the net at the end of the day.
Definitely. But the season, sorry.
I'm going to put a thing down, because we're on the topic of Sociedad. I'm going to put a thing down. Paqueta or Marino. Who would you rather have? Because I love Marino. I think he's very much like a Xabi Alonso. I think that's what I thought.
I don't think we should have got rid of it. I mean, yes, you saw
absolutely not.
I don't think we should. And I think we wouldn't probably be having this conversation if we hadn't have got rid of him. And he'd be in that team right now.
Oh, it's got to be Marino for me.
I think
I agree as well. Because for Paqueta, as much I said this on the podcast the other day, I don't know are there actually any real concrete links. As far as I'm concerned, the links to him.
It's just he likes coming to Newcastle. He likes Bridges, mate to Bruno.
Exactly, that's the thing. There are no actual links. I think that's why people have asked the questions, because of the fact that he's putting stuff on Bruno's back garden.
So I don't know if the three Brazilians would work. I don't know, because Paqueta's obviously attacking.
Yeah.
Joe Linton's just came into the centre mid role.
Box to box.
And then Bruno's. I don't know if it would work, but I think you put Marino in with
that would work,
Joe Linton and Bruno. I think that would be absolute magic.
Because Marino would be more the sort of holding midfield out of the two of them, and it would just allow. I think it would definitely take the pressure off Bruno, who, even though he
plays football completely, and that just Joe Linton just
because Joe Linton
marshal the whole field really.
Joe Linton, when he has the ball and he's got pressure, he walks around like Bambi. But it's a good thing, if you get what I mean. He sticks his legs right out and just makes it so awkward for the.
He's strong as an ox as well, Joe Linton.
He's an absolute powerhouse. He's just I know everyone's talked about it loads, the change, like how he's progressed. But he's like the second coming of Vieira, isn't he? He's just an absolute. You wouldn't want to be near him on the pitch.
Well, I was talking to obviously Newcastle played Gateshead in a pre-season friendly last week, and I'd spoke. Well, my dad's friends with one of the players' dads there, and I was speaking to sort of like people in Manchester who were involved in that game, and they said Joe Linton is a beast.
He's scary to play against.
They said he's something else,
like a brute. Yeah.
And now imagine being like, I'm trying to think of small Premier League strikers off the top of my head, but like imagine like a 5'6" striker.
Danny Ings, put it that way.
Well, Danny Ings like running it bloody burning bottoming if they play them two. They're both 6'4", 6'5". I mean, I'm just
even Shaw's not exactly.
Well, no, I'm pushing 5'7". I'd be absolutely terrified. like running at them and then.
Likewise, that's my height as well, and I know how I'd feel.
You see, I'm 6'4", but I've never had anyone run towards us.
Right. Well, what we'll do is after this, I'll get the ball and we'll try and.
I'll just end up 2 foot then.
I just think there's a very good feel going into this season, and it's class. Right winger, I think we do need one. Do you think it's going to be I think it's 4-3-2-1 next season. Kind of like I don't want to say Pardew-esque.
The Christmas tree formation.
Yeah, like how Bob, Cisse and Ben Arthur were in that.
Yeah.
I would love to play a free flowing front three where the kind of like you chop and change.
So you'd have your Maxi, Wilson,
and then Diaby, maybe Jack. People have turned their lips up at Jack Harrison. He's a good player. Maybe not start 11. And if we're artisting someone like a Diaby,
you've got Fraser as well. You've got Murphy as well. You've got these sort of players. So like if you get even a Jack Harrison in, that gives you sort of like 3 options for that other wingers place.
I think that's the problem. Is there's quality there. There's decent quality there. But there's no depth.
I think the club are going to make a marquee signing.
I think there will be one that breaks the bank.
I think Botman is a marquee signing in itself.
Yes,
but I think that 40 million mark will go. How big it'll go up to, I don't know. But I think certainly maybe it's either going to be that ring out right. Is it Cali Wendo from PSG? We've apparently put a bid in for. I think he's going to be because obviously PSG are now bringing in Nekatike. Yeah, he's coming in.
I read a tweet as well saying that PSG didn't match Newcastle's numbers that they offered.
I think he's quite reluctant to leave France. I think
that's why they wanted to go to PSG.
They probably didn't match the numbers that we offered, but they probably matched them or better than with agent fees, and that's just how it is. And that's just how it is. And you know what? I think.
And obviously he clearly had his heart set on Paris Saint-Germain, so and stayed in France.
He's not even one that got away. He's just one that never wanted to come.
Yeah.
And was only looking at the money, so I don't really care.
I think for me, the one that I really want to come in, and because he's only got a year left on his contract, and it's not going to be. He is a marquee signing without the marquee fee. I think Marco Asensio would be an absolute world beater of a signing. I remember sitting, it would be 2015 when he was young, just signed with Real. And I was sat in a bar in a place called Morera in Spain, and watching a Real game and watching this kid play, and he was absolutely phenomenal. He was ace. It might have been 2015, 2016 when he was first breaking through. But he would be. He's 26 or 27. But for 20 million, getting a player that's about it, would be a fantastic deal.
I think the main thing that Eddie Howe wants as well is good characters, really good, strong mentalities. I think it's a big thing for Asensio, and I'm not sure what his mentality would be like if he would just want to come for the money or whatever. But I think if you can get the right amount out of him.
I love a opposite foot to what side pitch you on. They can cut in. Asensio is predominantly left-footed, and he's very good at cutting in. And
as you'll find out when we get that ball out in about 5 minutes.
Selby.
As I find out that too for you. So I play keep my legs.
So I think Asensio would be a great one for the report fees being about 23 million.
Yeah,
which isn't a lot at all in the market these days. I think he could be a brilliant addition if he's someone we have got genuine interest in.
It would be marquee, wouldn't it? Like you said.
As you said, the price wouldn't, but the player and the sort of profile of the player would be.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think Real Madrid would maybe ramp up the fee. I mean, I don't get what's going on in La Liga at the minute. I mean, I can go and talk on about this for days, so I won't about the whole Barcelona story at the minute, because does financial fair play not exist?
I don't understand how they're affording the players that they're
playing.
How are they getting Rafinha?
Getting Rafinha, but then I got all 70 million euros to Frankie de Jong and
so weird. And then they're talking about 85 million for.
Plus, what they're doing in the new camp as well at the same
time. Apparently there were things that snapped from going under. Apparently, it'll take one thing to go wrong, and
aren't they mostly fan-owned Barcelona though? Or is that?
I think that's the case with every Spanish club. Yeah. They're not fan-owned, but they have political style. It's very political in Spanish
football.
They
all have presidents for clubs, don't they? Which is a bit
very sort of philosophy-based in Spain. Like there's is it Real? I'm going to say San Sebastian because I only know what would it be?
Perez. Is it Perez?
No, what's the team called? It'd be like Real San Sebastian, the one that Moreno went to. What they call?
What, Real Sociedad?
Sociedad, that's it. They only sign. I don't even know why I couldn't get that out. Where
Real San Sebastian.
That's
where are you getting that from?
Football Manager. That's what they want. Them and Bilbao. They only sign players from something called the Basque region, which is like that sort of region of Spain. They only sign players from there, and it's just a country filled with so many philosophies like that. Obviously, Barca and Real Madrid, they're not the same. But it's just filled. Spain and obviously Catalan as well is just filled with so much philosophy and so much politics in a footballing sense that you don't really know what goes on.
I don't think behind doors, if things are going right at Barcelona, that Messi would have ever left that club. I think something is going like horribly wrong behind, because I don't even think it's just Barcelona. That whole league's lost its appeal. Yeah. I mean, like growing up watching Ronaldinho and Thierry Henry went over there, Edo, like Messi, like this Barcelona team and the Galacticos at Real, like it doesn't have that anymore. I know Real's just won the Champions League, but the appeal for me for Christ's sake, the appeal for me for it at La Liga is just not there. I wouldn't want to watch it.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
I love Bundesliga.
I'd watch maybe any football game, but I'd maybe be flipping the channel over.
I'm not trying to watch the Championship of League One, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna get my first taste of Portuguese football. I think next month I'm gonna go and see Portimonense, I think they're called, but they play in black and white. That's how I swindled. Where we're going, Alvor in Portugal's, I think it's 10 minutes away from Portimao where they play, and that's how I swindled all last into wanting to go, because I said they're playing black and white, we're going to again.
Yeah.
So,
lucky son.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping. I think it's only a 9,000 seater stadium as well, so
it's nice.
I'm looking forward to it. I've not been to a game abroad yet. So.
Well, I'm going to Mallorca in October, so I'll have to watch whatever team there is there.
Mallorca?
Mallorca FC.
Yeah. We used to play them quite a bit when UEFA Cup days.
Yes. Do they got the red and yellow badge?
Yes.
Yes.
The green thing.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Dan, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Fresh from graduation.
Fresh is an interesting
again. Congratulations.
Fresh is one way of putting it.
Fresh shine.
Not sure if fresh is the word to be
refreshed after
after
a nice night, I'm sure.
I did have a nap today. It's like during the middle of the afternoon.
It's got to be done, I can imagine.
Get in. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and it's another MagPiece pod. There's a lot on the pipeline, so be sure to subscribe, or if you listen on Spotify,
leave us ratings, everything little bit helps. We're trying to grow the channel, nearly at 100 subscribers on YouTube, which might seem little to some, but it's a massive goal for us with only 2 videos on the channel. So please continue support, leave comments, it means the world to us. And yeah, share it, share it around. But yeah, this has been the MagPiece podcast, episode number 2. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.